Okay, so today we are reviewing reteaching angle relationships. I'm going to be skipping around a lot, so please make sure you follow along and take notes. This will help you do all the task cards that you're going to do. So we're skipping down to the third I do slide. And on the third I do slide, we're going to talk about complementary angles first. So we're going to talk about the fact that complementary angles equal a certain degree measurement, and that degree measurement is 90 degrees. So when I talk about two complementary angles having the measures of 52 degrees and 3x plus 2, I need to know that I set these by adding them together. So 52 plus 3x plus 2 is set equal to the amount they need to equal when they're put together. So I'm looking to combine like terms first. I feel like we're decent at this. We know how to combine like terms a lot better than we did in the fall. So 54 plus 3x is equal to 90 degrees. And then the solving, the algebra part, is definitely a strength by this point. So taking 54 away from both sides to get 3x equals 36. And when I divide by 3 on both sides and my 3's simplify to x, I get 12. This is only half your answer though, because you have to actually take that back and you have to substitute it in for 3x plus 2. So when I do that, 3x plus 2, 3x times 12 plus 2, I get 36 plus 2 is 38 degrees. That's the second angle measure. X is just what equals the x. It's not a degree measurement. So you need to make sure to know the difference. Set up and solve for x, then replace x back in to find the other angle measure. So what is the difference between complementary and supplementary? It's just the degree measurements. Two supplementary angles have to be set equal to 180 degrees. So it's like you're doing the same exact type of work, it's just you have to know the difference between the two angle measures. So I'm still looking at 75 and 5x, and I'm putting them together, just like I did with complementary, but instead of setting them to 90, it's set equal to 180. The algebra piece is the same. Look for combined like terms. I don't see any here. So I take 75 away from both sides to get 5x equals 105. Divide by 5 on both sides and simplify to x and get x is equal to 21. Again, that's only half of your work. The other half goes back to this 5x, and I substitute in 21 for x and get 105 degrees. So there's two answers for each of these two problems, and you have to make sure that you get both answers down. Now, some of them you might have to substitute that x back in for a third angle degree answer. So make sure you're reading each of your task cards today when you're doing this. So you're going to have 4 task cards that go over complementary, which means you should be looking through and doing the same process with 90. And you're going to have 4 task cards that talk about supplementary, and you should be using that same algebra process with 180 degrees. The next thing we need to go over is the vertical angle. So I'm actually not doing this problem right here, but I am going to talk about vertical angles and the definition of vertical angles. So vertical angles, if you remember from the first lesson when I taught this, mean congruent or mean same. Obviously something you need to study for your test on Friday. So when I'm given two angle measures of 135 and 10x minus 65, that means that I have to set them equal to each other. So same algebra, but I'm not adding anything together. I'm taking the one angle measure, I'm setting it equal to the other, and then I'm solving. So in this case, I have to add 65 to both sides. And when I do that, I get 10x equals 200. And then I divide by 10 on both sides, simplify to x, and I get 20. 20 is my x. That's not the value of my angle though. The value of my angle comes from going back to 10x minus 65. So again, same process as I did with complementary and supplementary. It's just I'm setting it equal to solve the algebra. So 10 times 20 minus 65, so I get 200 minus 65, and my angle measure is 135 degrees. The last type of problem that I have to do is a triangle one, and I realized that when I looked at these notes, it wasn't as difficult. You guys know how to figure out a third angle when you're given two whole numbers. So we're going to draw a picture in here of a triangle. Go ahead and be drawing this in with me. We're going to put the bottom left angle with the right angle, the top with 35 degrees, and the bottom with x plus 5. So you should know by now that all triangles have 180 degrees when we add all three angles up. So the three angles in this triangle are 35 added to x plus 5, and then the one that I've noticed a lot of students forgetting is that 90-degree angle. We have to add in the 90 because you're adding three angles for a triangle and setting all of them equal to 180. Then we have to go back and combine like terms. So just like complementary and supplementary, if there's something to combine, it needs to be done before you solve for x. So if I combine these like terms, I get 130 plus x equals 180. And all I need to do is subtract 130 from both sides of the equation to get x is equal to 50. And just like the previous three examples, I have to go back over here to x plus 5, right here, and I need to substitute in that 50, add the 5, and now I know that this angle degree is 55 degrees. So all of these are very similar, but they're also different in the way you set them up. In review, triangles have three angles you need to add together and set to 180. Vertical angles are equal to each other. And then complementary and supplementary, two angles added, one is set to 90, one is set to 180. So I know I talked about the task cards for these two, and since I'm not here, you're also going to do four task cards that deal with triangles, and you're going to deal with just one task card on vertical angles. I realized that the 4 task cards I had set for vertical, 3 of them were beyond what I've taught or what you need to know for 7th grade. So you're going to be crossing out numbers 25, 26, and 28 on your practice today.